Hey everybody, I'm here today to show you and tell you how to find an endpoint given a midpoint. This will be an easy math tutorial, so let's get right into the video. So essentially, we're going to imagine that we have this imaginary line over here. You have your beginning point, okay? And then you have your end point, and then there's a midpoint over here, okay? So we're going to imagine that we know the coordinates for the A, which would be our starting point, okay? And we know the coordinates for our midpoint, but we don't know the coordinates for our B, which is our endpoint. So you have from A to B, we know the coordinates for the first two, not for B, okay? So let's write down some coordinates right here just to make this easier to understand. Our A is actually going to be, we'll make it something simple. We'll make it 1 and then -5, okay? So 1 minus 5, and then we'll actually do our midpoint as something even more easily. Our midpoint is going to be 3 and then 3. Maybe I should come up with a different number to make it easier to understand, but we'll do 3 and 3, very simple. And our endpoint, which is B, is going to be, we're not sure. So we'll put a question mark here, okay? Or we'll just call it X, Y, okay? Because we don't know what it's going to be. Now, essentially, we need the midpoint formula, okay? It makes it a little bit easier. So our midpoint formula, okay, let's just box this off so we can differentiate what's going on here. Our midpoint formula is going to be our mid is equal to, and to find the coordinates we have, x1 plus x2 over 2. That's to get your x for your to get x for your midpoint, but we're going to reverse engineer this formula in a moment. And then for your y is going to be y1 plus y2 over 2, okay? Now, essentially what we're doing is we're averaging out. So to get our midpoint, we are doing the A plus the B for the X divided by 2 to get our midpoint. So we're averaging it out. You know, when you take two numbers and you want to find the average, you add them together and then divide by 2. We're doing the same thing over here. So we're essentially averaging it out. Now, what we're going to do is we're actually going to take this formula and we're going to reverse engineer it to find our endpoint over here. So let's continue down this line over here. I'm going to continue over here and we're going to continue with this formula and reverse engineer it. So let's take the numbers that we already know and let's input them into this formula over here, okay? So I'll do X over here and I'll do Y over here to keep it simple. So for X, okay, we know our X1 is going to be 1, okay? So we have 1, okay, plus X2, because we don't know what X2 is going to be. We don't know what that number is equal to, okay, divided by 2, is equal to 3, because 3 is our midpoint X. So that's our X formula. 1 plus X2 is equal to 3. Okay, sorry, I do apologize. 1 plus X2 divided by 2 is equal to 3. I'm looking at about 3 different sheets of paper at once. I have some notes that I have to the side that I've written out, and I'm trying to look at the camera and the paper over here. So just follow along. So what we want to do, and we're going to do the same thing for Y, is we want to essentially isolate for the X2, because if we can get the X2, that's going to be our coordinate over here. So we want to isolate. So in order to isolate, let's start off by getting rid of this divided by 2. So to get rid of divided by 2, we have to multiply by 2. So essentially, I'm going to multiply this whole side by 2. So let's do that. We're going to put 2 times, okay? And then we're going to do 1 plus x2 divided by 2. So we're multiplying this whole side over here, okay? Very simple. And then is equal to, okay, is equal to 3 times 2, because we have to do the same thing to the other side because it's equal, okay? So what we're going to do now is we can actually get rid of the times 2 and the divided by 2, okay? And then we can continue this on. So we now have, we're going to bring this down, 1 plus x2 equals 3 times 2 is going to be 6. We're almost at the end of finding the x. So we're just going to do the same thing for the y, okay? So 1 plus x2 equals 6. Now, in order to get rid of this plus 1, we need to do the opposite once again. So we need to minus 1, okay? So if I take this and I minus and I subtract the 1, it's going to be 1 plus, that's a plus, sorry, x2 minus 1 equals 6 minus 1. And what that does is this 1 plus and this 1 minus, they cancel each other out. Let's move this a little bit further up. So essentially, because the 1 plus and the 1 minus cancel each other, we're going to be left with x2, okay, is equal to 6 minus 1 is 5. X2 is equal to 5. So we know that our x coordinate, okay, for our endpoint is going to be 5 because we reverse engineered the formula. Okay, so it's going to be 5. Now we need to just solve the same thing for y. Okay, so what we're going to do is do the same thing for y. What I will do is I'll bring it over here. I was going to do it over here. Actually, no, we could probably do it over here. I'm sure I can squeeze it in over here. Let's just box this off. As you can see, I really do enjoy boxing things off. So let's continue on. We're going to do the same thing for y over here, okay? So for y, we're going to input our y1, which is going to be, I'm going to try and get some space over here. -5 is our y1 over there, as you can see. Okay, plus y2 over 2, okay, is equal to 3 because our midpoint y is going to be 3. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to try and get rid of the divided by 2. So we're going to take this whole side and multiply it by 2. So 2 times -5 plus y2 divided by 2 equals 3 times 2. Okay, so we did the, put a closing bracket over here. We did the exact same thing, okay? The times 2 and the divided by 2 cancel each other out. And what we're left with is very simple. We are left with -5, okay, plus y2 equals 3 times 2 is 6, so 6. So -5 plus y2 equals 6. Now we're going to do the opposite operations to cancel the -5 out to be left with only y2 over here. We want to be left with y2 only. So to do the opposite of -5, we're going to add 5. So -5 plus y2 plus 5 to add the 5 equals 6. Do the same thing to the other side, plus 5. Okay, so the -5 and the plus 5 cancel each other out, and what we're left with is a positive y2, or otherwise known as y2 equals 6 plus 5 is 11. There you go, y2 is 11. So essentially, our endpoint is going to be 5 is our x value and 11 is our y value, 5, 11. We've done the equation and we've got 5, 11 as our values, and that's literally it. That is essentially how to solve or find an endpoint given a midpoint. Essentially what we're doing is we're using a formula to use these because we know what the beginning is, we know what the average of the two is. We're taking those numbers and we are using them to find the endpoint just by reverse engineering this formula. So you need to take this formula and reverse engineer it. And that's it. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below as a comment. And of course, be sure to subscribe for more great videos just like this one. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.